up about it. So you end up taking a negative approach to the whole idea of interviews, you know. And I mean, but Lenny really put it the best way when they used to say, "Hey, you're dirty Lenny, you're sick." And he said that the sick comic was a colloquialism formed by Time magazine. And he said he suggested that it was because of an unsophisticated writer, the same kind of writer who would write. There's a comedian in England like Charlie Chaplin, and he's very Chaplin-esque. His name is Alec Guinness, and there's a now new comedian named Peter Sellers who acts like Guinness. He's very Guinness-esque. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He says it's the writer that's really got these hang-ups, and they give you an identification. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we didn't write the dictionary. We wrote the Constitution, not the dictionary, so I have to be judged by the titles that other people give me. That's why I never called Dylan a protester, because I have to give him what Webster defined as protest, and it's different than mine. You know, and people say, "Do you like his protest songs?" If I say yes, it means I'm acknowledging he's a protest songwriter. If I say no, it means I don't like his song. So I don't know, I get caught. So I said, yeah, I said, Gloria, I don't think we'll do no more interviews for about 10 years, because you're not going to really get anywhere. And then I remember John sent over a paper that said, we are interviewing people, and there was like 1,000 names of the giants in the world, from the Beach Boys to Elvis Presley and the Beatles. Everybody's name was on. I said, gee, you know, if all these people feel, I don't know, I'd love to hear Elvis Presley's interview, because I know how he talks, But I mean, it's hard, And then at the same time, I said, well, gee, I gotta say what it is. I said, but what if they don't ask me what I want to say? Then I'm going to forget. And then what if they ask me it another way and I answer it a different way? It's too hard. And like Charlie Green and Brian Stone, they said to me, do you really think that can't you give any credence to the fact that maybe whatever his name is, Albert Grossman told Dylan exactly what to do on that album and that it's all a put on, John Wesley Hardin, and I said, yeah, maybe it is, but the more possible is and probable is the fact that the ashtray is Grossman and I'm Dylan doing this with the ashtray. That's more probable than your thesis, which is a hypothesis which sounds all wrong to me, because I don't think you tell Dylan what to do. I think you ask him. Because you don't tell me what to do, you ask. I mean, you don't tell anybody who's set in their ways, what to do. You ask them what to do, that's all. And if it's a put-on, it was Dylan's idea. And it doesn't mean anything if it was a put-on, because maybe all his records were a put-on. That doesn't make them not good, but it was certainly the most honest thing that he could do. It was without question the most honest thing he's ever done. And maybe every song he wrote about blowing in the wind and all that was also bullshit. Maybe he didn't believe any of that. Maybe he just wrote it because it rhymed and it sounded good. That's all. A lot of people don't understand that. Just like, again, that gets off the record industry, but a lot of, which may help you, it doesn't help him any, but a lot of Jewish liberals don't understand why. They talk to me and they say, you still actively involved in the this? I said, well, I'm not active. I'm digging, listening. I like to be objective and look and learn and listen. They said, well, how come the Negro is becoming so hostile towards us now? I said, well, what do you mean? You mean because you own all the stores in Harlem and because you, yeah, but what's this new thing, Zionism? I said, it's not new. It's been around for 100 years. Yeah, but we're not, well, what is this? It's communism is our enemy, not Zionism. I said, well, maybe the black person feels a little differently about it. And I cannot explain or relate to any Jewish people, liberal Jewish people, why eventually that it is going to happen. And having spoken to many black militants who naturally will say Zionism or Ronald Reagan or anything, or black power, which are, can never be dirty words because white power is not dirty words, yet they look at it as if it is. It's just like a hard sell to me, like Colgate, use it or you'll get bad breath. It's not really to make you think, oh, if I don't use it, it's threatening you in a way. And black, move on over, we'll move over. It's just a threat. Maybe they will, but they can't without the money and without the resources and everything. So it's just a scare. So I say to the Jews, the Jewish people, look, try to understand that that's a scare to some extent, but I've spoken to some black militants, and they have suggested to me, not as their idea, but that white people have suggested to them that, the only way the Negro, and again, these are not what I'm saying, this is what I've heard, the only way the Negro may get together with the white man is to find another scapegoat. And it may be the Jew, and that Zionism may be the new call word. And a lot of people, nah, that's hysterical and everything. But I've heard a lot of black militants expounding this viewpoint that there is no communication between the whites now unless, like a Hitler, they get another scapegoat other than the Negro. The Negro can no longer be the scapegoat, so who will be it? And they say because of all the resentment to the Jews owning so many of the ghetto areas in the building, and with men who have certain anti-Semitic as well as anti-Negro views in this country in power, you may see that. Because if 10 years ago you told me that they're not going to let the Chief Justice become Chief Justice because they all want to masturbate to some cockamamie girly movie, I want to see it too, I want to get it off and run in there. But to hear a senator saying he wants to see it is a little embarrassing because he's supposed to be above that, more refined. They all want to get it on inside this movie house with transparent panties and everything. But 10 years ago you would have said impossible. And that's why I say 10 years ago, 10 years late from now, the same thing may happen. And to the music industry, they don't understand. They don't think about what happened 10 years ago, and they don't think about... 10 years ago, nobody would have believed that a group could be worth $100,000 to any record company. You wouldn't believe it. You could start 20 record companies with $100,000. I mean, $100,000 for a group. I don't care how good Janis Joplin is. No way in the world that she's worth $100,000. Not if Ella Fitzgerald's not. There's got to be some comparison. You got to eventually come down to talent. So then they come down to, commerciality. That's more important than talent. True, I agree, if you're making money, but still not $100,000. Because then you make every Troy Donahue worth $1 million, and you make every prospective Clark Gable or Oscar Hamulko, Oscar Werner, worth much less because they don't possess the looks that Troy Donahue had. And if you make the very untalented, just because a commercial very expensive, you hurt a lot of talented people by doing that. But that's commercialism. That you're never going to get rid of in the record industry.
May I rephrase a question a little earlier?